Hello everyone. Here we met again. Today, I'll explain the striped flea beetle. First of all, let's learn the occurrence and harm of striped flea beetle. Striped flea beetle, also known as flea beetle and yellow flea beetle, is a pest of the leaf beetle family in Coleoptera and a worldwide pest that harms cruciferous vegetables. It is widely distributed in the northern and southern vegetable regions of China and almost all provinces and regions in China. It often harms leafy vegetables, mainly including cruciferous vegetables such as cabbage, cauliflower, radish, and rape, but also harms solanaceous vegetables, melons, and legumes. Both adults and larvae of striped flea beetle harm crops. Adults are clustered. 10 adults gather in groups on one leaf to cause harm. They bite the leaves into dense small oval holes and like to eat the tender parts and growing points of plants. Therefore, it is especially serious in the seedling stage of crops, in particular the newly unearthed seedlings, which cannot grow after being harmed, often resulting in seedling shortage or even destruction. This picture on the left shows the harm to the seedlings caused by the cluster of adults of striped flea beetle. It can be seen that the newly unearthed cotyledons of the seedlings have been gnawed by striped flea beetle. However, the larvae live in the soil and specially bore into the root cortex of the host, forming a number of irregular strip-shaped scars on the surface. They can also bite off the fibrous roots, resulting in yellowing or even withering and death of some above-ground leaves from inside to outside, affecting seedling alignment. In addition, the wounds caused by adults and the larvae can also spread soft rot. Now we have learned about the hazards of striped flea beetle. Let's learn about the striped flea beetle. The adult is about 2 millimeters long, oblong, black and glossy, with many indentations on the pronotum and elytra, which are arranged longitudinally. There is a yellow longitudinal strip in the middle of the elytra, with large ends, narrow and curved middle part, and enlarged and jumping hind legs. Through the explanation of the morphological characteristics of the adult, have you found that the name of striped flea beetle contains two important characteristics of the pest? A yellow, slightly curved longitudinal stripe in the middle of the elytra, and an enlarged hind leg, which is good at jumping. The eggs of striped flea beetle are about 0.3 millimeters long, oval light yellow at the beginning of delivery and then milky white. Its larvae have 3 instars. The mature larvae are 4 millimeters long and cylindrical, with a slightly thin tail, a light brown head and pronotum, and a yellowish-white thorax and abdomen with insignificant sarcomas in each segment. The pupa of striped flea beetle is about 2 millimeters long, oval, milky white, with its head hidden under the prothorax, wing buds and feet reaching the 5th abdominal segment, and a pair of forked protrusions at the end of the abdomen. The third thing is the occurrence law of striped flea beetle. 3 to 5 generations of striped flea beetle occur in a year in northern China, 7 to 8 generations occur in southern China, and 5 to 6 generations occur in Chongqing. Striped flea beetles overwinter as imagos in fallen leaves, weeds, and soil cracks. A generation is completed for about 30 to 50 days. The imagos of striped flea beetle have strong cold resistance. If the temperature rises above 10 degrees Celsius during overwintering, they can still unearth to feed on the back of leaves. Imagos are good at jumping and can fly at high temperature. They have phototaxis, are particularly sensitive to black light lamps, and have the habits of tending to yellow and green. They like to eat young parts, and also harm petioles and flowers. Imagos prefer high temperature and moderate humidity. Generally, when the air temperature is 28 to 32 degrees Celsius and the air humidity is about 80%, it is the most suitable for their activities to harm the plants. When the air temperature rises above 35 degrees Celsius or drops below 10 degrees Celsius, they lurk in the shade. Imagos in the morning and evening and in rainy days hide on the back of leaves and under soil blocks and have strong mobility when the air temperature is high around noon. The overwintering imagos have a long lifespan. Under appropriate environmental conditions and adequate food, the egg-laying period can last for about 1 month. The eggs are laid in scattered manners, with an average of about 200 eggs per female, mostly in the moist soil gap or on fine roots about 3 centimeters away from the main root around the plant, or a small hole is beat at the base of the plant near the soil surface to lay the eggs inside. The egg period is 3 to 9 days. The larvae need to be hatched under high humidity. Dryness often causes a decrease in the hatching rate and an extension of the egg period. The larvae have a total of 3 instars of 11 to 16 days and live in the soil. After hatching, the larvae gnaw at the epidermis along the fibrous roots or bite off the fibrous roots, resulting in poor growth or withering and death of the plants. The mature larvae pupate in the soil chamber with a depth of 3 to 7 centimeters for about 20 days. After eclosion, they continue to hum out of the soil surface. The pest usually occurs severely in spring and autumn in rape fields with high humidity and in the regions with continuous cropping of cruciferous vegetables. In addition, humidity is closely related to the occurrence quantity of striped flea beetle, especially in the oviposition stage and egg stage. Adults like to lay eggs in moist soil, rarely in the soil with low moisture content, and rarely incubate eggs when the relative humidity is below 90%. There is much rain in spring and autumn, which is conducive to occurrence. The suitable temperature range of striped flea beetle is 21 to 30 degrees Celsius. If the temperature is below 20 degrees Celsius or above 30 degrees Celsius, the activity of adults will be significantly reduced. Especially in the high temperature season in summer, the food intake will decrease sharply, the reproduction rate will decrease, and there will be hibernation, so the disease will be gentle. Striped flea beetle likes to eat cruciferous vegetables. Generally, in the continuous cropping area of cruciferous vegetables, the food is continuous throughout the year, which is conducive to mass reproduction and causes serious harm. If the crops are rotated with other vegetables, the harm will be relatively gentle. Today, we mainly learned the occurrence and harm, morphological recognition and occurrence rules of striped flea beetle, among which the morphological characteristics and occurrence law of striped flea beetle should be grasped. Well, that's all for today's class. See you next time.